Neve stood surrounded by advisors, discussing, when all at once they heard a mighty thud.
Bloody hell!
They looked to see a cavalryman who'd clearly fallen from his saddle. The men who'd witnessed the blunder began to jest, only to choke on their laughter as the wretch, having risen to his hands and knees, began to shake and vomit blood. The medic's diagnosis: poison. In spite of his best efforts, the cavalryman breathed his last that very night. Soon, several other riders developed the same symptoms, and at the last shared their comrade's fate. All were buried at the roadside, beneath an old willow.
This looks to be no coincidence,
Reynard said gravely.
Our stores of water. Someone's poisoned them. We must find the fiend. In the interim, your Majesty must quench her thirst with wine.
Horns sounded. Neve recognized them at once as those of the Lyrian vanguard. She drew her sword and prepared to face the invader. Yet coming down upon her force were not Nilfgaardians, but bearded warriors clad in leather, horned helmets on their heads. This was not so. The Queen could not believe her eyes.
Skelligan raiders? This far inland?
But this was no time to be bewildered. Neve spurred her horse. It neighed and reared, and then the twain leapt into the fray.
Reynard, what the devil? Sea raiders here!
Ario's been chosen. The gods speak to him. Are with us!
What do you want of me?
Can't take it anymore.
We'll ransack your temples! Wipe ourselves on your vestments! Where's that?
Army's a waste of time for one like me.
Ogre Blackhand's taking on new swabbies. What do you say?
There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die.
Left, right, left, Right.
You wanna pass, you gotta pay. Can't let you through elseways.
Her Majesty knows what she's doing.
One vote's all I need. Give me a time. Abelis to your command.
Sailed into troubled waters, mate.
I'm a one, sir.
You've got stones, wench.
Gods are blowing fair winds the day.
What is it?
Warhawk Devarier!
The Skelligers fought hard, fought bravely, brought mayhem. Yet the Queen's ordered, disciplined force won the day. The islanders seemed entirely undismayed at their defeat. A trait of theirs, I must admit, I've ever admired.
Well, you're right scrappy for landlubbers. Lippy Goodman applauds you for your pluck, Queen. When we sup, me and the lads will drink your health.
That we shall yet see, sir. We must know something first. What brings you this far inland? What drove you from the sea?
Meve asked, crossing her arms.
Ha! What always drives us? Looting and pillaging. The coast's picked clean since long, so we set our longships up the Yaruga for gold and glory!
Amusing. I always assumed you to be honourable folk.
And who dares to claim elsewise?
Your very actions do so. You've attacked a land preoccupied, a land already at war with invaders, but I suppose it makes sense. You've ever feared to attack Imperials?
The Queen prodded gently.
What did you say, wench?
Goodmund had quickly turned red with rage.
I'll prove just how wrong you are, I will! Why, we'll be drinking mead from Nilfgaardian helmets for sundown! Follow me, lads!
Meve smiled as she watched the islanders gather their gear and prepare to march. She doubted not in the least that Goodmund would honor his pledge.
Here the damage seems not so great.
It appears Nilfgaard's not yet turned its forces towards the capital. We're likely to encounter no more than pathfinders and foragers.
So I hope.
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
Company! Forward march!
One boat's all I need.
If the ring won't come off, just take the whole finger. One man's battlefield is another man's ripe patch for harvest.
The Nilfgaardian invasion necessitated certain steps. Meve had dispatched scrolls to her garrison commanders, based upon which they were to announce general musters. She'd hoped that by the time she reached Krydam, fresh recruits would be waiting to join her growing force. Alas, the commander of this fort, one Sergeant Griggs, had only bad news.
Your Majesty, I've not the numbers to man the walls even. The call to arms brings few new recruits and more men desert each day. Folk are terrified something awful. They don't believe in victory.
They don't believe in victory?
The Queen rose from behind the table, toppling her chair.
Then let them hear how I smashed the Blacklads at Dravigrad.
Quick as can be, the commander gathered all Krydam's inhabitants in the central square. Meve stepped out in front of the crowd and recounted her most recent victory. The folk of Krydam listened with bated breath.
And so, we must stand together. Fight, arm in arm. Be a wall against which black-clad hordes will be dashed.
The townsfolk responded with thunderous applause, yet enthusiasm is rarely long-lived. That born of Meve's fiery words had dispersed after but a few days. No new volunteers joined the garrison, and the townsfolk hid from Sergeant Griggs to avoid being pressed into service. Neither the towns nor the Queen's own company were reinforced, and Meve left Krydam angry as a wasp. As Meve and company traversed the ruddy meadows, strident voices reached their ears.
I beg your pardon. I've heard enough. A duel. I challenge you to a duel.
A duel? Nonsense. I'd sooner lay you across my lap and give your arse a thorough flailing, you scoundrel.
The Queen approached the arguing parties. Two nobles, Lords Cartwright and Mansfield. Quickly she ascertained they were up in arms over ownership of an orchard lying between their estates. Assisting both nobles, their kinsmen, armed to the teeth, prepared to leap at each other and crush heads. Upon spotting Meve, the lords lowered their voices, bowed and presented themselves. Yet they could not keep their ire fettered long, and were soon casting aspersions again.
Your Grace, Mansfield has seized it. No, stolen my land. Land that has been in my family for generations.
It is my recompense for your reckless deeds. To burn down me mill in Furchin for a bit of sawdust in your flour? Well, I never.
A bit? Oh, let me at him. Farman's taken ill, cook's feverish, all from that manure. You are a fraud, sir. A fraud and a thief.
Though she faced the not at all trifling matter of the Nilfgaardian invasion, Meve agreed to settle the dispute. Reynard, who knew the history of every Lyrian and Rivian family 7 generations back, served as her advisor.
No doubt I would find for the Cartwrights. They are in the right here, as regards the title to the land. Yet your Grace must consider, the Mansfields have ever served the crown and never delayed payment of tribute. Whereas the Cartwrights, The Cartwrights are litigious charlatans who owe the royal treasury thousands, many thousands.
The orchard must go to the vassal unburdened by debt. This is what I prefer,
said Meave.
Thus I declare it Mansfield's.
But the law clearly says...
I am the law, Cartwright.
Lord Cartwright moved to debate the matter further, but a snort from Reynard reminded him he stood before his liege. Mansfield, content, made an ample contribution to bolster Meave's force and the realm's defense.